Hey there, book lovers. I'm Haley.
And I'm McCayleigh. Welcome to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist,
The official podcast for the Facebook group, All Things Book Related.
We're two besties who are here to share our love for unforgettable characters, unpredictable storylines, and the books we just can't put down.
From our all-time favorites to the latest releases, we're bringing you deep dives, hot takes, and maybe a little friendly disagreement.
So grab your favorite read and let's get ready for some bookish fun.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. We are so happy that you're here with us. We have got a super fun episode planned for you guys.
Yes, that's right. Today we're taking a look back at all the books we read in 2024 and sharing our favorite read from each month and discussing a handful of books we didn't enjoy. Spoiler alert, it was so hard just to pick one book per month, and I kind of didn't. Yeah, I kind of picked one book anyway. I was like, yeah. But anyway.
Oh no, it really was hard. I picked one per month. I had to make sacrifice.
I couldn't, dude.
But
yes.
Plus, guys, we're also diving into how we did with our reading goals for 2024, whether we crushed them, came close, or were way off.
Yes, and to wrap up this episode, we will be doing a short discussion about our book club read, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas.
Yes. So let's settle in. We have got a lot of ground to cover on this one.
Yes, we can't wait for you guys to hear our thoughts. But before we kick things off, Haley, how have you been?
I have been good. So I've just been really busy keeping up with the podcast and my Instagram, been making content for both. I'm also still working away on my little wintermester class that I'm in right now. It's almost over though. So I think when this episode releases, that same week, my class will be over. Thank God.
Gosh, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. But then I start a whole new semester over, so...
Wow.
But the next one's my last one. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
So, have you decided if you're going to be doing more school after you graduate? Or what are your plans? Like, do you know? Or are you just kind of going with the flow?
Have no idea. Edgar and I were just talking about this like not even 5 minutes ago.
Really?
Yes. I don't know. I think I was telling McCayleigh last time we talked, I really want to take like a year off and I don't want to think about school or like any, because I haven't done, like, I've been doing school for so long. I don't know how life is without it, honestly. And I don't think I'm ready for like a real people job. Even though I work full time now, I don't think like I could do like an actual job. Y'all know what I mean. An adult, something more adult. I don't know. I really want to take time off and just focus, especially on the podcast, 'cause it's growing so quickly and I love doing this, seeing McCayleigh every week. It's so fun. And I love chatting with you guys in the comments and in our DMs. And I love posting on my personal Bookstagram account and focusing on that. So I really want to take time and do that. And I want to take time to kind of write. I've got all these different ideas. There's a book that me and my sisters want to work on together. And so I tell them like, okay, when I graduate, I'll have more free time to sit down and kind of work out kind of what we want to do. Because, I mean, we've got so many ideas. I'll talk to them. I'm like, what do you think about this? Like, wouldn't this be so cool, like, as a book? So
I love it.
Yes.
Is it you thinking, fantasy romance, or are you kind of doing a shift?
The one that I want to do with my sisters, I don't know. We want to do something like nonfiction and something like kind of about our lives and how something like that. And
oh my God.
But my first book on my own, I can see myself doing either nonfiction or fantasy.
I love it.
But I'm leaning towards fantasy. Y'all know I love fantasy.
Oh, I love that so much. I've been going to so many like holiday markets, and just like little local markets. And I mean, it's the season of buying things. So everyone, local businesses are doing all these pop-up markets and like booming. And I brought these over with me because I just wanted to show you how cool they are. I've been like 2 weeks in a row to this one specific holiday market, and I came back with 3D printed animals.
Oh,
so
my
this is like
gosh.
It's a 3D printed axolotl. It's like a little sea
so
creature.
Cute.
I just love the way it feels when I hold it in my hand. Like, it feels like it's a real animal,
so cool.
And it just kind of like hangs like the little legs. And just in case you're not watching and you're just listening, but it is so cool, and like it gets better. It gets so much cooler. So this was like from one vendor. I just want a 3D printer so bad. Like I'm in over my head. I want to start like 10 different businesses. This guy, he printed me a whole dragon.
Oh my god, that is so cool.
Yes.
The colors are so beautiful.
Yes, it is so long. It's like long like a snake, and it just kind of hangs in your hand. It's pink and orange and green. I think he called it a crystal dragon. I don't know.
That's cool.
I need to find a spot for it on my bookshelf. I'm not typically a dragon girl, but I
put it with your Fourth Wing copy.
Yes, exactly. So it was just so cool. I was like, okay, I need to get it. That is
really cool.
But yeah, instead of finding a full job, Haley, we can continue working on the podcast.
Yes.
Maybe add a little bookish business here and there, combine it, be self-employed.
Like once a week, McCayleigh's like, oh my god, we should do this. Oh my god, we should do this. And I'm like, oh my god, I would love to. I don't have the time right now. So we'll put a pin in it.
Yes, for real. Find something to do. Bedazzle books, you know.
Oh my gosh. I want to bedazzle.
Be an empire.
I want... Yes.
Book empire. Yes.
Yes, like the Kardashians.
Yes. Like Two Chicks and a Plot Twist will be the Amazon, but for bookish items.
Yes.
Like
I want to bedazzle like either Throne of Glass or ACOTAR. I think I've seen them on like my TikTok. I'm like, I want to do that so bad, but it takes so much time and patience. I'm like, I wonder if I would be able to do that. But I want to try it just to see.
Yeah, no, I've seen like a few TikToks, and girls, they do like rows at a time. They do it by the row with super small like rhinestones, and they have like a estheticians use like a plastic brush to put you know,
the foam on your face.
On your face, and it's plastic. They're not bristles, but they use like a whole row at a time to speed up the process, to like stick a row of rhinestones on rather than doing it one by one. I was like, interesting, because that was my biggest deal too. I'm like, I'm not going to sit there, and I don't have the patience for that. I already know that. Yeah. But you could totally get into that, I think.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, so to say. Have you built your Harry Potter wizarding bookish thing?
So McCayleigh sent me the coolest gift ever. It was so thoughtful when it came in. I had like 5 packages on my doorstep, and I was like, because I was ordering Christmas gifts for everyone. So I picked one up. I was like, dang, this is heavy. And so I opened, I was like, it's like a little book nook, but it's Harry Potter, and you kind of put it together piece by piece. I haven't done it yet because I got another bookshelf for Christmas from Edgar, so I want to put it like on top of it. So I haven't put it together yet, but I will, and I will definitely send pictures and put it in stories so y'all can see. It's so cute.
I'm so ready for it to be like sitting behind you and being able to see. It is cool. When I saw it, you were the first person I thought of. I was like, oh, Haley. Definitely. It's just so cool. It's so messy, like inside. If you haven't seen a book nook thing,
let me go get it. Hold on. Let me go get it. Let me show you.
Oh my gosh.
So, this is it. I haven't put it together yet, but this is what it came in for everyone who's watching. On the back, you'll see the Harry Potter. It's kind of like Diagon Alley looks like, and so you'll see copies of like the Daily Prophet. That's their newspaper is there. So cool.
So excited.
And there's like a golden snitch down here in the corner. Whenever I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I kept looking. I was like, Edgar, it's Harry Potter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they had like a Pirates of the Caribbean. It wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean, but it was just pirates, because I don't think they could legally say Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to get that one yet. But I got a different one at Barnes & Noble. Oh. But I really don't care to build it. But it's like supposed to be part of the experience is like putting it together like Legos.
Yeah.
But I really don't care about that. So I told Christian, I was like, hey, you want to build this? He's like, yeah. So Christian is very happily building it for me.
I love that.
Yay, I just want it on my shelf. So he got a toy. He got a toy to build, you know.
I love how we, like, within the same days, we sent each other things, like, we didn't talk about sending each other anything. I sent her something, and then, like, she sent me something. I was like, oh my gosh, our minds are, like, interlocking. Yes. We're thinking the same thing.
Yes, all the time.
Let's jump into today's episode. So, McCayleigh, what were your reading goals for 2024 and how did they turn out?
Yeah, so my reading goal, I keep it on Goodreads. And at the beginning of this year, in February, when I joined book club with Haley for the very first time, that was when I was introduced to Goodreads and I was just figuring it out. I just had gotten into reading, for the first time since, elementary school.
Right.
And I didn't know how it worked. So originally, my reading goal for the year was 10 books. And I surpassed it, I got to 20. So I changed it to 25. Yeah. And I am currently at 62 books, and I just never changed the reading goals. This coming year, I will be setting it to something higher. So don't know yet. Definitely higher than 62 because I got to beat that. But yeah. What about you?
For the past 2 years, I've kept it at the same. I keep putting it at 50 books, and I passed it with over 60 books. I think right now I'm at 64, but at the time of us recording, we're still in December. So I think I've got at least 2 more books in me. So I think it'll be 66.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
And what's cool is what I learned last year. If you read over 50 books, you are in the top 1% of readers. I think either in the US. So we can say we're in the top 1% of readers.
Wow, that's so cool.
Let me fact check myself before, because I know I saw this last year.
Oh my god. No, I do see stuff like that though. But I'm very happy that Goodreads has a kind of like a Spotify Wrapped, but their version.
Oh, yeah.
I wish that Audible or Spotify, Spotify does it for audiobooks, kind of, but it's not the same. It's not as fancy as the music part. But I wish Audible would do a Audible Wrapped.
So this is what Google says. According to most estimates, the top 1% of readers most likely read over 50 books per year, meaning they read more than 99% of the population.
Wow.
So we are in the top 1%, we can say, McCayleigh and I.
That is so cool. I love it. I feel special.
I know, me too. Do you want to kick off what you read in January?
Yes. So right before January, so still at the end of 2023, I had just gotten into reading. I had just finished all the ACOTAR series, and that was the series that really, jump-started my reading. Thank you, Book Talk. And so January was perfect because that's when I started Throne of Glass, and I gave Throne of Glass 4 stars, but I will say that was my favorite book of the month. I don't think anything else was a 5-star for me, but that month I had also read Crown of Midnight, Assassin's Blade, and I narrated a book. So I had 4 books total that month. But what about you?
I kind of kicked 2024 off really bad. I only read 1 book. It's called Serpent and Dove. Before I had even read the series, I bought all 3 books in the trilogy.
Oh, no.
And I hated the first one. I rated it 2 stars. I didn't like it, but there's so many people out there that love it. It just wasn't for me. So then I started the next book in February, and I couldn't finish it. So I DNF'd it. But I've got all 3 books, on my shelf somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess Serpent and Dove is just automatically my favorite by default, because it's the only one I read. But I didn't love it.
For February, I read 5 books, and February is when when basically book club became a thing. But that's when I joined, and we read Fourth Wing for book club that month, and I loved it. So that was my favorite that month. Then I also continued the Throne of Glass series. 5 books, and my favorite Fourth Wing for February. What about you?
So February was better for me than January. Same thing. I mean, my favorite was Fourth Wing. I read 4 books, and out of those 4, 2 of them were 5 stars. One was Fourth Wing, and I think the other was probably Iron Flame. But better than January. What did you look like for March?
Yeah, so March, we might have started Iron Flame in February and finished.
I think I remember reading it, being the first to finish it, because I was
you were waiting on us.
The edge of my seat, oh my god, y'all, please finish it.
Yes. So for me, I finished in March. So that I counted as my favorite book. And then I read 3 books total. And then my other 2 were 7-Year Slip, which was not really my favorite.
Yeah, that
and
was
then,
a book club book. We read
yeah.
that right after Iron Flame. So
Yeah.
that could have been, because none of us really enjoyed it. That could have been why we didn't like it.
Yes, very not action-packed.
Yeah.
And then also my other read was Haunting Adeline. And both of those got 3 stars from me. So anyways, what about you?
In March, I read 4 books. I had 2 5-star reads for that month. My favorite was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, which McCayleigh still needs to read. It is so good.
It's on my shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
So I need to read it.
It's so good. I've got a different book by the same author. I found it at Half Price Books that's autographed. So I need to read that one too.
Wow.
But it's like a duology. If you haven't heard of Divine Rivals, it's so good. It's written so like eloquently and so fancy. I love it. So if you haven't read it, definitely check it out.
I'm excited to start that. Yeah, I will eventually. But in April, I read 7 books total. That was a lot for me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
My favorite that month was Kingdom of Ash. I kid you not. I read that within 24 hours. Like,
yeah.
Nonstop. Like, I did not listen to it. I had to read it. I had to take it all in. Loved that book. To this day will probably still be my favorite book ever. And then I also read Powerless that month, and then I think you read it before me for sure, and you introduced us to it. But I enjoyed that one too.
So.
Yeah,
in April I read 4 books. My favorite of the month was Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gilling. I think, did you just read that duology?
Yes, I finished
it. So good.
It is so good. Loved it.
And then I also read Powerless, which that was a book club read, which that came in a close second. That was really good.
Yeah. For May, I read 6 books total, and then my favorite for May was the book 1, Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. I think that is period the best book in the whole trilogy so far.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I mean, the ending of that book, it like broke my heart. I love Lahaba. And then, I know. And then I also read Hunting Adeline. I can't pick just one book, but I gave that one 5 stars. It wasn't as good as Crescent City, but I did give Haunting Adeline 3 stars. And then I just recently read Where's Molly, and I gave that one like 1 star or something.
Oh no!
And so like that whole like Haunting Adeline series, I've been all over the board with that one. So, but yeah, what about your May?
In May, I read 5 books. I had 1 5-star review for May, and it was A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. It was so good. McCayleigh, you need to put that on your TBR.
Okay.
A Dowry of Blood is sort of Dracula's bride, kind of in her point of view and how she lived her life with him. It's so beautiful and thrilling. I just need everyone to read it so I can talk about it to everybody.
Yeah, no, definitely going on my TBR. What the heck? I want to read that. Okay, so for June, I read 4 books, and my favorite was It Ends With Us. I know you're not a huge fan.
Well, there's a lot like in the press about It Ends With Us now.
Oh my God. Yes.
About Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, I think was his name. He was the director. That's crazy. And I haven't even seen the movie yet. I haven't read the books. I'm not a huge Colleen Hoover lover.
Yeah.
I think eventually I'll watch the movie. I think it's on Netflix now, so I may watch it. But there's a lot coming to light from the production of this movie and kind of how co-stars treated each other. So I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, like the whole movie is about, getting away from abuse, but here we are. It's still being endured, and unfortunately. But anyways, how was your June?
Hey, June, I did pick 2 books. June was slow. I only read 2 books in June. Both of them were so good, and they were also very different. One was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Reread that as a book club read. And the second one was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. They're 2 different books. It was so hard to kind of compare them because they're so different, but I love them both. Both 5 stars.
Yeah, I loved I'm Glad My Mom Died. Like, what an interesting read and take from, a life of a celebrity. Like, so crazy. For July, I read 4 books, and my favorite was It Starts With Us. So literally, we're going into the sequel. But yeah, I was all in for the It Ends With Us movie. I was prepping, and then I also read Light Lark by Alex Astor, and I still plan to read the rest of her books eventually. I hope to get to them eventually. But, your TBR list, it gets so long. And that one, it wasn't exactly 5 stars or anything. It was like a 3. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
You kind of put it on the back burner.
Yeah, I mean, I read Lightlark at its height of being popular on TikTok. That's when Alex Astor had just published it, and she was talking about it. I pre-ordered it. I got it. It's back here on my shelf somewhere, and I didn't really love it. I think I rated it 3 stars also. I haven't read the second or third book. I might try and give it, another shot next year, but I don't know. Yeah. But for me, for July, I read 4 books, and my favorite for July was Assistant to the Villain. It was so good. It's so cute. If you haven't read it yet, it's sort of like the TV show The Office meets the movie Tangled. It's really funny, and there's cringy moments, but it's also very sweet. It's so good. And such a quick read. I think I read it in one day.
Oh my gosh. No, I do want to read it. Our friend Ashley has also been reading that series, and she loves it too. So yeah. I'm getting FOMO, so I will jump on it here pretty quickly. So for August, I read 8 books. I think this was the most books in a month that I read for you. That was a lot for me. My favorite this month was Caraval, and I just literally couldn't choose, so I picked 3 this month. So I also read and loved The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros, and then One Dark Window by Rachel Gilly. Mm-hmm. And absolutely 1 star. This might have actually been my 1-star review ever, was My Dark Romeo, and that was our book club read.
Oh no, that one's on my TBR.
No, don't read it. Don't read it. Please don't read it. This dude, he hates the idea of possibly having a son and a baby, a child, but it's a spicy dark romance book. You will not like it at all if you don't like Haunting Adeline. But he's against getting his tubes tied or whatever. And I'm like, if you despise the idea of having a kid so much, you would do something about it. And he doesn't, but he keeps this little country girl in his mansion, and she wants a baby and a family. I'm like, oh my god, just...
Is it sort of like Bridgerton? Remember when Daphne wanted children, but
it's giving those vibes. Yeah, no, this girl literally all day, she just kind of sits in his mansion and does nothing. She just wants kids and a family, but he doesn't want it. It's probably the exact same concept, just make it modern. So, so yeah, how was your August?
I think August was a good month for me also. In August, I read 7 books. My favorite for that month was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Yes. In August, I started my Crescent City little journey, so I love that one.
Yay. No, that, like I said, my favorite also. Yes. So for September, I read 4 books, and then my favorite was Funny Story. Yes. And then I had also read The Midnight Library, so I had to write both those down because I really loved the feeling I got when I read Funny Story, but the introspective insightfulness I gathered from The Midnight Library, it was so good. So what about you?
September was one of my biggest reading months for me. And in September, I read 11 books, and I had 6 5-star reads. Ooh. In September, I started my reread of the Harry Potter series, which I'm not going to count towards my favorite reads because I did reread them. I reread them a million times. And I read McCayleigh's book, Isle of Beasts and Shadows, which that was my favorite for September.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, I love that. And you read 11. That's crazy.
I know.
Dang. Okay. I don't think I'll ever get to 11 in 1 month. So for October, I read 5 books total, and then my favorite was Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I think I liked it way more than I did Caraval. I just loved, I think, Jack and how he became, he had a lot of character development, so he felt like he was more human in this series, and I love that he kind of got his whole redemption arc. So I was a huge fan of that. And then I also finished all of Emily McIntyre's Never After series to prepare for Hexed, which I also enjoyed. But what about your October?
So for me, for October, I read 9 books. My favorite of the month was Immortal Dark. And this is dark academia meets vampires. It is so good. There's only 1 book out now, but it is going to be a series. I think the next book is coming out sometime in October of 2025. So good. I'm recommending that to everyone also. Read Immortal Dark too.
No, I'm seeing our notes right now, and after every book that I haven't read that Haley has read, she writes, McCayleigh needs to read this one. And I'm like, okay, I'll just add them all to my TBR. Oh my gosh. Okay, so for November, I also read 5 books total, and then my favorite for that month was Phantasma, and then I also enjoyed The Lost Bookshop. So very good reads. Loved them both.
Yep, my favorite was The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. We did our very first podcast episode about that one, and we actually got to sit down with Evie Woods and talk about that book. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do so. For November, I did read 6 books total, and I had 3 5-star reads.
Dang. Yeah. All right. And now we're in December. So at the time of this recording, I've read 5 books. And so far, my favorite has been The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And that's the book that Haley recommended me to read. And I'm so glad she did. It was just really good. I've talked about it. It's amazing.
And we talked about it last episode. So check that one out if you haven't. But at time of recording, since we are still in December, I've read 8 books so far. And I think my favorite so far is either Phantasma or my reread of Little Women. So I probably shouldn't count Little Women, but probably Phantasma.
Dang, no, I love that so much that you're reading all these classic books. Like, I'm trying to imagine the feeling you get when reading them, because in school, when we were, like, forced to read these classic books, I wouldn't most of the time. I would just, cliff note it or whatever. So now, like, as an adult and, like, able to understand all these, like, very, historical concepts and things, I feel like I could definitely go back and enjoy it. But
have you seen, like, the movie for Little Women?
No,
It's really, it has Timothée Chalamet in it, and it has, like, Emma Watson. It's really good. I would recommend Little Women, like, if you're wanting to get into classics, read that one first, because it's such a beautiful story of these sisters and how they're growing up in kind of early America's times. I love the March family. I could go on and on about them for so long, and the movie is so good.
Oh my gosh. No, I will definitely have to look into that, because I do want to watch it, and I do want to read the books, so I will. 2025 New Year's resolution. Get into the classics.
Well, we've talked about some amazing books that absolutely stole our hearts this year, but now it's time to get a little spicy in a different way.
Oh yes, it's time for some tea. Lukewarm, bitter, and completely unsweetened. But, let's talk about the books that just did not do it for us.
Yeah, these are the ones that we couldn't wait to finish, not because we love them, but because we just wanted to be done with them as quickly as possible.
Yes, exactly. And now just a quick reminder, these are our opinions, and if one of these is your favorite book of the year, that's totally valid, and we love that for you. But for us, let's just say they didn't make the cut.
All right, guys, so grab your DNF list or your I powered through this and regretted it vibes, and let's get ready to dive into our least favorite reads of the year.
All right, Haley, you go first. What book was the biggest letdown for you this year?
The biggest letdown for me was probably Haunting Adeline. Everyone talks so good about it. I hated it.
Yeah.
There's a quiz. I am just now reading our notes, guys. There's another quiz for me after this segment, and every time I see a new quiz, I am as shocked as I was the episode before, because I did not expect it. I need to start, like, preparing myself, like, okay, there's going to be a quiz.
There's going to be a quiz. No, there's going to be a quiz every episode, Haley.
Goodness. Oh my gosh, and McCayleigh went, kind of a quiz, kind of a discussion, in our notes. I love that.
Oh my god. Well, anyway.
But Haunting Adeline, guys, I've talked about it before. I did not like it. If you want to read my whole review on it, I gave it a 1 star. It's on Goodreads. It's also on my Bookstagram. You'd have to scroll for quite a bit, but I couldn't get into it. I didn't really get the hype, but I know so many people that love it. Just wasn't my thing. And it was also my very first dark romance book, so that could have also made me not like it, but I just didn't like it.
Yeah, Haunting Adeline was my very first dark romance. And, I mean, it didn't make my least liked list, but I did give that one 3 stars because I did read it and I was like, wait, what is all of this? What is happening? People write this? That's crazy. And I've said it before, the first time I was ever reading it, I was scared and I would wake Christian up, like, come to the backyard with me to take out the dogs. I'm afraid someone's going to be out there waiting for me. Like, so scary. So the stalker thing is crazy. But I brought it up already. My Dark Romeo was a 1-star for me. Did not like it. And that was also, it was really spicy. But like for unnecessary reasons. I feel it was just like, let's do all spice, no plot. So I've very quickly discovered that I can't do that. I need to have plot. Like, otherwise, if it doesn't make sense to me and I can't, like, figure it out, why would the characters do this? Like, it doesn't make sense. Then I'm not going to enjoy it. And then also, our book club read, one of them was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies.
We had such high expectations for that one, but I don't think anyone in our book club really enjoyed it. Yeah. I think the premise of that book, I think it had all the great ingredients to be a really good book, but I think because of the way it was written, none of us really enjoyed kind of the diary entry vibes.
Yeah, and I mean, the cover was so pretty, and it was like the reason we probably, bought it was the cover. So yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. And I mean, while it wasn't, for us, I'm sure it was for other people, but the stakes were just so low. Yeah. And I'm used to so much more, action, high stakes and things like that. But what's another one on your list?
Another one for me was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This was my very first Ali Hazelwood book, and I thought that it would be much more, I thought it would have more fantasy in it. That's why I picked it up, but it was more heavy on the romance. And if you don't know what nodding is, look up, go to Google, look up nodding in dogs. Now picture that between like people. Now go and like wash your eyes out with like bleach or something, because that's how this book gave me the worst vibes ever.
No.
I did not enjoy it.
No. Yeah, that was a contender. What do you call it? It didn't make the list, but it was high on your list.
Yeah, it was high on the list.
Honorable mention. That's what it is.
Yes. And then another one for me was Twisted Love. I have all 4 books, and I listened to the first 3 on audiobook just because they were free. And again, I needed to keep reminding myself, just because it's free doesn't mean I need to listen to it. But I did not like it. And I have the first 4 books. Like, I've got them here on my shelf, but I did not enjoy any of the books in that series. It wasn't for me.
Oh my gosh, yeah, while you were reviewing those books on Goodreads, I remember commenting, I was like, why are you still reading these? Because you're like rating every single one like 1 star. But I also have like all that book series, and I haven't started reading it yet. So I'm going in with very low expectations. Yeah. So there's that. And then one of my least liked books also has been Where's Molly, which is also part of like the Haunting Adeline series. But yeah, this whole series is like a roller coaster for me, because Haunting Adeline was 3 stars, Hunting Adeline was 5 stars, and now Where's Molly is a 2-star. So
are you gonna read the other one? It's called like Devil's something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Satan's Affair. Satan's
Affair.
Yes. So that book, I think it's the carnival that comes to town in Haunting Adeline. I think that's what the book is named after. So I think originally when I was looking at her list about like the reading order, I think I was supposed to read that book first. But I didn't, because I had no idea what I was getting into.
Right.
But I can see myself, like, since it's the last book in the series, I'll probably read it just because I'm kind of like that. Like, part of me has also been like, maybe I should read the second Emily Wilde book too, because
I have it on my shelf, like it's right in front of me. Too. And I also just posted a reel with it, and McCayleigh was like, haha, not the Emily Wilde book. And it was me just like slamming like the book over and over, and I was like, it makes sense. Like,
yes.
I have it. We bought it, and it's just here. I probably won't read it, but see what else. Well, for me, I think I've already touched bases at this at the beginning, but I didn't like Serpent and Dove. I got the whole series on my shelf. I probably need to like donate it or do something with it, because I hated it. But my last one is The 7-Year Slip. We kind of talked about that one also.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like it that much. I don't know. There's just something about it. I think that it had, again, all the ingredients to be like a really good book. It had this premise of like jumping in time, going back in time, and it just fell a little flat for me. Just didn't really like it.
Yeah, for me, my last two least favorite books of 2024, it was also The 7-Year Slip. I gave that one 3 stars.
Yeah.
We've already discussed the whole reason why on that. And then this one book I narrated. And I think y'all were around when I was narrating it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it wasn't good. No, again, the plot was, it was a girl, it was like reverse harem, girl surrounded by like 10 different guys, and it was like this whole fantasy and zombies living in the apocalypse, and all she wanted to do was have every single guy's kid, like a guy from each kid. Yeah. And I was like, shoot, like, that's what I get for weird. Not realizing what I'm really getting myself into and just, you know, wanting to narrate everything under the sun. So You Live and You Learn, that was like probably the first or the second ever narration gig I received. So we've gone a long way since then. We've gotten better at, you know, accepting, picking and choosing what to narrate. So I'm very proud of that. But, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So
I'm looking at it right now.
Are you really?
I've got the Goodreads pulled up.
Yeah.
There's only one. There's 22 ratings, but there's only one review where someone actually wrote something, and they rated it 5 stars.
And, I mean, like, I marked it as read on my Goodreads because, I mean, I did read it. But
yeah.
I'm not going to, you know, give a bad review for something, a job I helped assist in. Yeah. So, like, I mean, their audio, it's not widely known, well-known book. It's not. So, like, even the audio book on Audible, it still doesn't have any reviews last time I checked. So, I mean, I don't think it's really popular. But yeah, I mean, everyone has an interest, and just not mine. Everyone has, what they like.
Yeah.
But anyways, I have a few questions for Haley, guys. I am very excited. This will be kind of like our first open-ended kind of quiz. It's really not a quiz, so don't stress. Okay. It's just, how well do you remember 2024's bookish moments? And this is just you. Okay. It's all about you. No right or wrongs. So just 5 questions. I'll chime in. What book this year made you laugh the hardest?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
There's so many. I think the book that had the best banter that I read was probably Powerless by Lauren Roberts.
Yeah.
Hayden and Kai in that book kind of have really good banter going back and forth. And then another one that comes to mind is Assistant to the Villain. I talked about it in this episode. It's like The Office, and I love The Office. I rewatch that show all the time. So those are 2 very funny books for me.
Yes. No, I know you read it too, Butcher and Blackbird. I thought
I
that was
haven't read that one yet.
You haven't? Why did I think
I
you
have
did?
the first 2 books on my shelf, but I haven't started it yet.
No, that book is funny and very interesting. It's fun to see how 2 serial killers will you know, treat each other, but it's funny. But anyways, number 2 question on the list: which book had the most jaw-dropping plot twist for you?
Oh my gosh, I want to say, hold on.
I know, I'm looking at my Goodreads.
House of Sky and Breath. I read this one this year. The ending, I've been trying to block all spoilers like on my TikTok, because if I see something that said Crescent City while I was reading it, I would like skip past it. So I did not have the ending spoiled for me. However, I know there's a bunch of people out there that did, because some people just don't put like spoiler warnings on their videos or anything like that. But the ending of that one, I was like, oh my god, this is kind of crazy. I was not really... I kind of knew that there was going to be some people that would jump in, but I wasn't expecting that specific character to come in.
I piggybacked all these books. It's all one book to me. All the whole series. Okay, so what fictional character was your absolute favorite this year? This year. My God. So you can't... Not from a different year.
What did I read this? I'm jumping on my Goodreads because I'm like, what did I read? I'm so torn because I want to say like Crescent City and say Bryce, because Bryce is such a strong character. I also love the representation of like a curvy girl in like a super popular fantasy book. So Bryce is definitely one. And another one is Payton. I think Payton from Powerless is such an interesting character, and I'm very interested to see kind of what happens in the 3rd book.
Yeah.
So those are my 2.
Yeah, no, she really set up like all of Reckless to me was just like a book that she just kind of like put in just to put in to make it a trilogy.
Yeah.
But I feel like the whole reason that she used the second book was just to build up the hype for the third book. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. The third book is gonna like knock everyone off their feet, I think. It's gonna blow everyone away. I'm so pumped.
There's also, guys, I have been doing some research and I've got all the books in this series. It's called the Red Queen series and it is by Victoria Aveyard. I want to know what y'all think about it for everyone that's read it and everyone that's read Powerless. Is it very similar? Is it different? Because Victoria Aveyard is very outspoken on her social media page, like on TikTok, and she was doing a summary of her books. And the summary sounded exactly like word for Powerless. And so I sent it to McKayleigh. I was like, oh my gosh, like this book was published in like 2015. I wanted like read this book. So I've got the whole series. So I'm very interested to see what happens there. But I want to know what everyone's thoughts about that one is.
Yeah, when you sent that to me, I was like, whoa, it's literally the same plot. Like, word for word. Two brother love interest, kind of, you know, girl
and then, like,
without powers. It's the same.
And it was the way she worded it, she was just like, there was a war and some people got powers and some people didn't. I was like, oh my God, is she describing Powerless? And she was like, this is my book that I published in 2015. Gosh. So I'm like, I've seen the cover before, but I haven't read it. So I've got the whole series. So I'm hoping to start it here soon.
Yes. All right. 2 more questions left. If you could live in any book world from 2024, so your reads from 2024, which would it be and why?
So I finished my reread of Harry Potter. I will say I would love, especially around Christmas time, I would love to be in Hogwarts like during Christmas because it's so portrayed so beautifully in the books and also in the movies. So I would love to be there.
That's so cool. It really is such a vibe. Like, yes, a certain aesthetic is what it is. I love it. Like, yeah. And it's like living in your little book nook, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, gosh, I can't wait to see it when it's built. Ooh.
I will have it up. Yes. I will make Edgar put together my bookshelf, and I will put, because I've got 2 bookshelves behind me, and then in front of me, I've got a huge windowsill, and I've got books going across it and then stacked on top of each other, and I've got some on the floor. Oh my God. So I know I'm going to fill up this third one, like, right when I put books on there. So I'm going to put my little book nook that McKayleigh got me, like, right on top.
I love it.
Yes.
All right, so last question. What book do you wish you could have read but didn't get to in 2024?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. Let me think. Let me look at, I'm looking at my bookshelves to look and see what's in front of me. Oh, I know. Oh, geez, do I have it up here? Maybe I don't. Where is it? It's by Carissa Broadbent, and she is all over my feed. Let me see what the book is actually called. I just remember her name.
Is it Heart?
It's called The Serpent
Heartless?
in the...
Oh, never mind.
No, it's called The Serpent in the Wings of the Night, and I think it's vampires. But I have the first 2 books, and then I also have, she has another series called Daughter of No Worlds. I kind of started it, and then I stopped it because one of my friends wants to buddy read it with me, so I was like, okay, I'll wait for you. So I'm waiting to start that one, but I want to read The Serpent in the Wings of the Night. That one is super high up on my 2025 TBR.
Yeah, I think I have the Serpent one on my shelf somewhere, but definitely the Daughter of No Worlds, that cover, guys, like... I remember seeing it in Barnes & Noble for the first time. I was like, wait, what is that book? And I walked over and looked at it. But that cover, it just makes you want to read the whole thing. I love it so much. But I will get to it too eventually. But that was the end of our cute little quiz. Just something easy, sweet to get started off with 2025. So I'm glad I got to hear your, bookish interest and your,
So now, guys, these quiz and discussions, we'll do every episode. So next one, I will do McKayleigh.
Yes.
I think I'll do the same thing because our next episode is going to be our goals for 2025. So,
oh my gosh,
we'll do it every episode.
Yes, so exciting. And we love to see your responses as well. So keep sharing them with us on Instagram. We have the quiz posted to our social media at the time of the episode's airing. So please feel free, go ahead right now, play along with Haley, play along with me. Whatever episode it is, you can take the same quiz as us.
Yes. And so now, guys, we're going to get into our discussion of How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Meghan Quinn. So if you haven't read this book, skip towards the end, say goodbyes with us, check out our next episode. But now we're kind of going to get into our discussion.
Yes! Okay, so in How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, Cole Black is the ultimate Christmas grump, and he's perfectly content to avoid all the holiday cheer in his cozy little town. But when his annoyingly festive new neighbor, Story Taylor, joins the town's Christmas Kringle contest, Cole can't resist entering just to beat her. So as they fake a budding romance to outshine the competition, their not-so-friendly rivalry turns into something much more real. So sparks fly, holiday hijinks ensue, and soon Cole and Story find themselves tangled in a web of fake dates, festive chaos, and growing feelings.
Content warning, guys, this book does discuss grief, loss of a loved one, mild adult language, romantic tension, and explicit sex and nudity.
Yes.
What were your thoughts about this one?
Yeah, so I wish I could have read it quicker than I actually did, but I did devour it. Like, I took it all in. I listened to it, which I'm glad you recommended me do.
Yes.
Because the narrator does sound so much like the real one from the actual Grinch movie. And I loved that Cole and the narrator would have their little moments of like arguing.
Yes.
He's like, why are you making me do this? And it was so cute. And it was such a good feel-good read too. And I think just Meghan Quinn really knows how to deliver like the perfect mix of like laugh out loud moments and just the good banter. So their personalities of these characters, they just like bounced off of each other so well, and they just said all the right things. So I'm very happy with that. And the romance, it was perfect. The amount it was, they didn't fake date for too long, and I think it just flowed really well. And they were just all hilarious and lovable, all these characters. And the story, it was just so much fun with all the holiday chaos. And I think if you want a feel-good Christmas story, and it's definitely a rom-com, so get ready to laugh. It'll just have you grinning like an idiot for the entire time. But yeah, 100% recommend. So what's your take?
I also really like this book. It was really spicy for me, though. I don't read a lot of books like this, but I really loved it. It's kind of exactly like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but it's set in like a really charming town in Colorado. The narrator sounds, just like McCayleigh said, exactly like the narrator of The Grinch, and so it's so funny. Must listen for the audiobook. I think that it's got steam, humor, it's got holiday cheer. The only thing that I didn't like was the predictable breakup before the finale trope. It kind of felt unnecessary. I was like, oh my gosh, really? I've only got like 30 minutes left of this book. What do you mean they break up? Because then I'm like, okay, obviously they're going to get back together. That just felt unnecessary for me, but whenever they got back together, that kind of made up for it. But overall, it was kind of like a really naughty romance, Christmassy, perfect for a holiday season if you like that sort of spicy book. I think I rated it like 4.5 stars.
Yeah.
But I still loved it.
Yeah, I gave it 5, and then this was also, I'm in a different book club aside from our official all things book related book club, but that was also our book club read for the in-person book club I'm in, and I was the only one who rated it that high, and everyone else was like, what, really? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what do you mean? I loved it.
What did they not like?
Which, I mean, I can agree with them, I think, after hearing them talk about it, but they were like, also, nothing bad happened. Like, they were like constantly waiting, where is it going to go wrong? And they also felt, which I agreed after hearing it, that the sister who kind of just took down all his lights at the end, it didn't feel very motivated. Like, she didn't have enough motivation to take it that far. So I feel like it was just kind of like, oh, let's make her do something to have chaos ensue. But I mean, aside from that, I liked it. I was a fan, and I think it helped that it's Christmas time while I was reading the book, because I just wanted to like sit next to my Christmas tree and read and just be in the Christmas vibes. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I gave it 5 stars. I'll still give it 5 stars. I don't think
the candy cane scene. Oh,
that was crazy.
My God.
Oh my God.
I was like, I am at work right now. What is happening? Like is skip a little bit skip for me, but I'm like, this is crazy.
No, when I'm like lashing people, I'm a lash tech, guys, and I lash and I listen to my audiobooks at the same time. I'm scared sometimes that like if something spicy is happening, I'm like, oh my God, let me like turn it down just a little bit, because like I'm lashing and I'm so close to the other person's face. I don't want them to actually hear what's going on and think, what is this girl listening to? So
they're like, my lash tech is a little crazy.
Yeah, so trying to avoid that for sure.
Well, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode of Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. We hoped you enjoy hearing our thoughts about our favorite and least favorite reads of 2024. We would love to hear your thoughts about this episode and kind of what your favorite read of 2024 was. So send us a message or comment on our socials.
Yes, thank you guys so much for listening and supporting us. If you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, check out our Instagram or Facebook page at Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. There is a sign-up form in our link tree.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Haley's.books.
And you can follow me on Instagram at McCayleigh Daniels.
Join us for our next episode, guys. We're going to be breaking down our 2025 TBR lists. You can expect a podcast episode from us every Thursday, so we'll see you next time.
Bye!
Bye!